Welcome back. Now, would licensing brothels in London during the Olympics be a way of stopping a rise in prostitution and sex trafficking, often thought to be connected with major sporting events? The American owner of a string of legal brothels in Nevada thinks so, and he's written to the London Mayor, Boris Johnson, to ask to open one in the capital this summer. Well, earlier I spoke to Dennis Hoff, owner of the Moonlight Bunny Ranch in Nevada, and the Labour MP Fiona McTaggart, who has long campaigned to make it illegal to pay for sex in this country. Dennis Hoff, what is your proposition to London?
Well, I wrote a letter to Mr. Johnson and said, I want to bring Nevada-style legalized prostitution just for the Olympics. The sex traffickers are here now. When you Google sex trafficking in London, 2,400,000 things come up. The Albanians, the North Africans, and the Southeast Asians will bring 1,000 girls in here.
But in truth, what would one or two brothels make as a difference?
Oh, big difference.
You're not going to take away the prostitution trade in London, are you?
When you make something illegal, who gets in the business? The criminals. If you give the tourists an option, a legal option, where it's safe, the girls are tested, and they have licenses, there won't be any crime, because they're going to do more than prostitution. They're going to rob people.
And where would you put them?
In Soho.
In Soho, central London.
Yes.
Right, Fiona McTaggart, what do you think of the idea?
Well, what Mr. Hoff hasn't told you is that the prostitution effort in Nevada, where his brothels operate, is actually 9 times as big as the legal brothels. And that's because when you have legal brothels, it actually grows the market for prostitution. So his so-called solution won't work. It will attract people to Britain to use prostitutes, and it will mean that the illegal market simply has a safe cover, his brothels, to hide behind. We don't want that. What we have to do when we're faced with people trafficking is actually to defeat the traffickers, not to encourage more of them in, as Mr. Hoff's proposal will.
You've had 1,000 years to defeat the traffickers, and they're everywhere. They're everywhere. 124 years ago, Jack the Ripper was killing prostitutes. It's a dangerous business. Your Scotland Yard is displacing the local prostitutes right now, and it's very dangerous.
And Mr. Hoff, in your state, in America, it is the #1 state, and has been for a number of years, of women murdered by men. I believe that that is actually connected to the fact that prostitution is legal there.
And you know what? I agree with you. But let me tell you why. Because in our state, it's legal everywhere but Las Vegas. And Las Vegas is a cesspool of sex, just like London is.
So you're saying that there's no connection between the murder rate in the rest of Nevada, and it's not just in Las Vegas where women are being murdered. There's no connection between that and the fact that prostitution is legal there?
None at all, because the girls aren't sex trafficked. They're there because they want to. It's employment. A lot of educated girls. They have disease tests every week, and they're checked out by the police department.
When you talk about they have disease tests, you're talking about women.
Yes.
You're talking about them as though they're objects. And frankly, women aren't objects. Our right to choose to have sex with people should be something that is actually an expression of love, and not a way of selling our bodies.
And I totally agree with that. But the sex business is not going away.
So that's why you make a profit of women selling their bodies?
I have a license to do what I do. The state of Nevada issued me a license to do that. They've got it right. You've got the problem. I'm just here to help.
If I can just edge in for a moment, that there's also one big difference between what you're suggesting here in London, in Soho, and what goes on in Nevada, which is, the truth is, in Nevada, the legal brothels are in rural areas. They're not in the big cities. It's a very regulated and relatively small industry, and what you're suggesting is to put it right in the heart of central London. It's quite a different proposition.
Well, my place, the Bunny Ranch, happens to be right between Reno and Lake Tahoe, the capital of Nevada. So there's plenty of population there, and there's millions and millions of tourists, just like you get. This is going to happen. You're not going to stop the sex trade. It's going to happen. Do you want it in the hands of the traffickers? They just arrested a bunch of traffickers here in London, and it's here now.
Fiona McTaggart, I mean, what Mr. Hoff does address, though, is our utterly confused laws. Do you think anything specific should be done about prostitution in London during that Olympic period?
Well,
because it probably will attract business, won't it?
I've been arguing for a long time that there needs to be a stiffening of the response to people trafficking for some years on this issue, and better support for women who are caught up in prostitution, who have been prostituted by traffickers.
What do you mean by a stiffening of the response?
Well, that means better intelligence, better work at ports, targeting gangs who are bringing in women, and making sure that actually these aren't always people who are brought across the borders. As we've seen from the Rochdale cases, women in Britain are trafficked around the country where there's a market for their services. So we need to make sure that the police are using their intelligence to try and stop that. Because I don't think women should be treated like objects. I don't think most people, Pache, Mr. Hoff, think that they should.
Dennis Hoff, I mean...
I don't agree with that.
But, well, the thing is, you do treat women like objects to an extent, don't you? I mean, they're commodities. I mean, why do your girls have to call you daddy, for example?
They don't have to call me daddy.
But
my
they do,
girlfriend
don't
calls
they?
me
Well, it's
that.
just a weird coincidence that they all do.
My girlfriend does that. But the girls at the Bunny Ranch, I don't think the lady understands, the girls are there because they want to be. They're not trafficked, they're not damaged goods. Half of them are college educated, and they want to be in the sex business. The demand is there, they want to fulfill the demand.
Brothel operator Dennis Hoff and Fiona McTaggart, MP.